latest largest state, Sarawak, on the island of Borneo, is home to more than 20 ethnic groups, or Dayak as they say in Malay. These include the Bidayu, known as the Land Dayaks, the Orang Ulu, and the Iban, known as the Sea Dayaks. The Iban are the largest and most feared indigenous group in Borneo. Though more Malaysians from the countryside are moving into the suburbs for work and education opportunities, there are still many rural people who continue to live in traditional longhouse communities. In archaeology and anthropology, a longhouse is a type of long, narrow, single-room building built by early settlers in various parts of the world, from Asia to Europe and North America. Many were built from timber. They often represent the earliest form of permanent structure in many cultures. In Malaysian Borneo, comprised of Sarawak and Sabah, the Dayak lived traditionally in a longhouse known as Rumah Panjang in Malay and Rumah Panjai in Iban. The longhouse provides a glimpse into the sites upriver and the people living there. Local travel agents offer a variety of tours ranging from half-day trips to nearby Bidayu longhouses to week-long safaris to more accessible longhouses of the Iban tribe, also known as the Sea Dayaks, on the Skrang, Lemanak, Batang Ay, and Rejang rivers. Here, you will learn to appreciate a simple and laid-back life that most would consider an excellent model for communal living. This in itself is an unforgettable experience, on top of the fact that you're in the midst of the wilds of Borneo's magical rainforest. Our journey in Sarawak involves an overnight stay at an Iban longhouse at Ngema Ile Batang Lemanak, tucked away in a beautiful pocket of the Bornean forests. It's a 4-hour leisurely drive from Sarawak's capital city, Kuching, to the Lemanak jetty. The scenic drive alone is invigorating. You'll pass a beautiful countryside of rice fields, rubber, cocoa, pepper, and oil palm plantations, intermingled with the lush tropical rainforests, rivers, and mountain ranges. It's a good idea to take a break and make some stops along the way. We make a quick visit to the Rapak pepper plantation at Lachao, owned by a Chinese family. We learn that pepper is harvested when it is ripe, signaled by a yellowish or orange color. They are put into sacks to dry. White pepper is produced by removing the skin before drying. The dried peppers are separated by a machine that filters out bad quality seeds. Pepper is one of Sarawak's largest exports. Sarawak is the 5th largest pepper producer in the world. A popular pit stop on the way to Lemanak is the market at Serian, a predominantly Dayak town. Nothing like getting to know a place through the local color, the sweet and savory delicacies, and friendly people. This is the last commercial area where we can purchase some presents for the Iban community with whom we will be spending the night. It is customary to bring goods for your longhouse hosts as courtesy, usually something for the children. Upon arrival at the Lemanak River Jetty, we are met by some members of the Iban community we will be staying with. Borneo's impenetrable rainforest calls for a river ride in a long pencil-thin boat called a longboat, or a perahu, to get to the longhouse. We take a 45-minute motorized longboat upriver. It's a beautiful trip through the clear waters of the Lemanak River, underneath the cool, thick, overhanging jungle foliage. longboat guides must be extremely skilled to paddle and pull through the brisk rapids and bumpy riverbed. One of our longboat guides happens to be the wife of the Iban Longhouse chief. We marvel at her exceptional strength and commanding presence. We arrive at the dock greeted in red carpet fashion. A very warm welcome from the locals amidst traditional music and some fanfare. They certainly know how to make you feel special. We are engulfed in dazzling smiles and gentle handshakes as we're whisked away uphill towards the Longhouse. Most longhouses in this region are built raised off the ground on stilts and are divided into a general public area along one side and a row of private living quarters lined along the other side. It's quite an elegant and ingenious design. With the longhouse raised on stilts, flooding is less of a problem. The entry can also serve as a canoe dock. Raised up high on stilts, cool air can circulate more easily through the living area. Livestock can shelter below at night for more security. In modern times, many of the older longhouses have been replaced with buildings using more modern materials but of similar design. The Dayak believe that entrances to the villages and longhouses are especially vulnerable to supernatural attack. To deflect spirits, particularly those bringing sickness, they place imposing guardian figures, known as uyat, around the longhouse entrances and along the paths leading up to the village. These figures take both human and animal forms. Posts and ladders at the entrance use similar images. Facial features such as eyes and teeth are emphasized, producing an aggressive or fearsome appearance, designed to intimidate both hostile spirits and enemy raiding parties. A typical longhouse looks just like its name implies. It is a long one-story structure covered by a single roof, usually woven from sago palm fronds. It can stretch as long as a few hundred meters, have 500 people living in it, or it can house a community as small as a few dozen. The families live in large rooms located off a main hall and private units, or a bilik, with a single door for each family. These are usually divided from each other by thin walls to separate living and sleeping spaces. The kitchen, or dapor, are sometimes found within this space, but usually have a separate room. They are added to the back of a bilik, or even in a building away from the longhouse, to guard against the risk of fire at the longhouse, and to reduce smoke and insects attracted to cooking from gathering in living quarters. The corridor itself is divided into 3 parts. The space in front of the door, the tempuan, belongs to each bilik unit and is used privately. This is where rice can be pounded or other domestic work can be done. A public corridor, a ruway, basically used like a village road, runs the whole length in the middle of the open hall. Along the outer wall is a space where guests can sleep, the pantay. On this side, a large veranda, a tanju, is placed in front of the building where the rice or paddy is dried and other outdoor activities can take place. During the day when most of the residents are working outdoors, the main hall is practically empty. Peaceful, cozy space of cool refuge. Under the roof is a storage area, the sadao, that runs along the middle of the house under the peak of the roof. Here, the paddy, other food, and things can be stored. Each longhouse is headed by a chief, or tuwai ruma. At the Iban Lemanak Longhouse, we are lucky to steal some time with Chief Kanyan Anakngan.
Mga panya ito, 24 tahun. Dito, 38. Dito, kurang gak dalaman. Gagakam ito. Kaya lama, masa beranyam ko deh. Masa beranyam, masa ngambu. Masa nyimpai. Nyimpai lupo. Nugal. Gawai dayanya. Jadi, may nugal ntar buah benih.
We learned some interesting things on tattoo art amongst the Iban. For Borneo's Dayak peoples, spirits embody everything: animals, plants, and humans. Many groups have drawn on this power by using images from nature in their tattoos, creating a composite of floral motifs using plants with curative or protective powers and powerful animal images. Tattoos are created by artists who consult spirit guides to reveal a design. Among the Iban, men apply the tattoos. These tattoos are blue-black made of soot or powdered charcoal, substances thought to ward off malevolent spirits. Some groups spike their pigments with charms, a ground-up piece of meteorite or a shard of animal bone, to make their tattoos even more powerful.
Karena berani kelia. Ini dia Reksige, jalai, panteng, kelia ganti no pandai no ngai. Nya kumai bino batarjang bisa palang kelia. Ya.
Tattooing, like other initiation rites, symbolized both a passing away and a new beginning, a death and a life. The Iban believe that the soul inhabits the head, therefore taking the head of one's enemy gives you their soul. Taking the head also conferred your victim status, skill, and power, which helped ensure farming success and fertility among the tribe. Upon return from a successful headhunting raid, participants were promptly recognized with tattoos inked on their fingers, usually images of anthropomorphic animals. In the past, just as Iban men were tattooed to recognize their prowess in hunting or warfare, Iban women were adorned for accomplishments in weaving, dancing, or singing. As they grew older, women were often covered by a weave of inked images spreading around their legs, along the tops of their feet, forearms, and fingers. Among the Iban, throat tattoos are said to have been part of headhunting initiation rites.
So even among the Iban, when they see the tattoo here, they know they're Iban. And they have to be careful to fight with that man. Because they don't know whether that man also a warrior, and he is also a warrior.
The chests and backs of older venerated warriors were completely decorated with a collage of powerful images. The hornbill was a favored motif because the bird was seen as a messenger of the war god Lang, and also marked rank and prestige. Other favorites were the scorpion and the water serpent, which protected the wearer from evil spirits lurking in the jungle. The younger generation sport more modern tattoo designs. Spider-Man seems to be a popular one with these boys. Life at a longhouse is a shining example of an ideal social setting. A short visit is enough to restore your faith in humanity. There is no such thing as individual possessions. All goods are divided equally down to the last sheet of paper or candy. It is a humbling experience for us visitors as we help distribute the presents we've bought equally amongst every family in the longhouse. Extras are set aside to be divided further. Visitors to a longhouse can't help being impressed by how smoothly its residents get along. how well behaved its children are, and how generous the hosts are. Crime is hardly a problem in such a community. Divorce, child abuse, and most of the other social ills we tend to worry about every day are not an issue around here. The key to a thriving, healthy community here is respect for each other's space. Even the pets seem to honor each other's small territory. The dogs remain immediately in front of each household, seemingly aware of the spaces assigned to them. Meals are an important aspect of community living here, a common characteristic of Asian nations. These are taken together with all the families in the Longhouse gathered in one room. At our first meal with our Iban hosts, we are treated to our first taste of tuwa, treacherous sweet rice wine. You can't refuse the chief's offerings of more tuwa. The evening becomes more spirited with each shot, taken amidst loud glass clinking and toast to the Iban cheer, uwa. After dinner, the evening livens up in the main hall. Families come out to socialize, and guests gather in front of the chief's room. The chief's home is usually in the very center of the building. It is often distinguished by unique artwork or antique human skulls. A reminder of the days when the Iban and other tribes in Borneo practiced headhunting. Though acquired through the death of an enemy, heads were the sustainers of life. Displayed in the Longhouse Gallery, enemy skulls were believed to bring health and prosperity to the village and fertility to its rice fields. Headhunting faded quickly following the arrival of colonialism and the white Rajas of Sarawak, who actively discouraged it. One Longhouse guide once joked that the only headhunting that goes on these days is done by employment agencies. Our guide Joe is Bidayu, but understands the language and the social complexities of the Iban. This is very helpful for visitors when it comes to understanding life in a longhouse. On nights when there are visitors, the Iban will typically perform traditional dances and music, and drink more tuwa. During our visit, they perform a ritual marriage ceremony, enacting the blessing of the bride and groom. You may be invited to attempt the ngahat dance. It is inconsiderate to refuse, as guests are expected to contribute to the entertainment, just like the hosts. At the end of the performance, a bracelet made of tree bark is tied round the wrist of each visitor. This is meant to protect them from evil spirits and should not be removed until it falls off on its own. As in most social settings, the party continues with more drinking and talking, which could carry on until the wee hours of the morning. If you know any dances, folk songs, or poems from your own country, don't be shy to take center stage to share your talent. You will make lifelong friends no matter how badly you perform. On the morning of our departure, we spent our last hours in Lemanak learning about the Iban hunting tradition. We begin with the ceremonial cockfight, or sabong. We are simply presented with the two strongest roosters. No real action this time. Chicken are sacred to the Iban. They identify with the self-sufficiency of the birds and regard their scratching in the soil as communion with the earth god of fertility. We are then taken into the jungle to see how they catch animals for food, showing the various traps. We also learn about their rubber tapping technique. The Iban elder demonstrates the use of a blowgun, a traditional weapon which is sometimes still used for hunting. We tire our lungs out through several attempts with the blowgun. Not bad for first-timers. Finally, we are given a blessing by the community elder to keep us safe in our travels. All of Sarawak's Dayaks are excellent craftspeople. There are always some handmade crafts for sale at the Longhouse. You're not obliged to buy anything, but the goods made in the Longhouse are almost always better and cheaper than similar items you'll see in the cities. In the warm Longhouse communities, cultural tradition that holds anyone who visits them is welcome to stay as long as they like. We only had time for a very short visit to the Iban Longhouse, but this was enough to give us a nice boost of inspiration and healing. After spending some time with the Iban community in their Longhouse, there's much more than tribal art, weaved mats, and other handicrafts to bring back. We take back great lessons from the generosity and open-heartedness of the Iban tradition. We are reminded of the essential values we learn as children that are easily forgotten as we become adults. To share everything, live peacefully with one another, and be respectful. We leave the Iman Lemanak Longhouse, reminded of a simple secret for living a good life.